So now that we've talked about food, I can move on to my second point, which is the body wants to heal. The body wants homeostasis. The body wants to achieve balance. And the cells are always working to achieve balance. And so what I believe in is that it's our responsibility to steward that process of balance, of homeostasis. And so we are responsible for the chemicals that we expose ourselves to for the most part, not all of them. We can't help it when we go into town and we breathe in exhaust fumes and stuff like that. Chemical exposures are a part of life, but in my home, I believe that a well-balanced body is stewarded intentionally on a daily basis. And I do believe the body wants to heal. I believe that the body and the person that inhabits the body is sovereign and wise and capable of healing. And I don't mean that from a woo-woo perspective. I just really believe that when we provide the right inputs, when we provide good food, sunlight, fresh air, community, family, friendship, love, joy, positivity, I think it's important to believe in something, in a higher power, whether it be nature, whether it be the universe, whether it be God. Find a higher power, pray to it. Have a routine where you thank the higher power for who you are and what you have. And having gratitude is one of the most healing things you can have. I believe the body wants to heal, but we have to give it the right tools. I stay off my phone until probably the latter part of the day. I never start my morning on my cell phone. And when I do, sometimes it happens. If I accidentally get on social media or if I start listening to podcasts too soon or something, it just throws me off. So I have to start my morning. I'm the happiest and I'm the most well-rounded when I start my morning with a walk outside. So every single morning with the sunrise, my baby's strapped to me and we're walking outside. We've got the dog, even the cat goes on walks with us. It's pretty funny, but we go on walks, and that's where we get that morning sunlight, and we get fresh air, and we get to say our prayers out loud and talk about how we want the day to go. And I just talk about what I'm grateful for. And I believe the body wants to heal, and the mind, the body, it's all connected. And I think that the mainstream world and the mainstream culture sort of perpetuates and normalizes a lot of sickness, both of the mind and the body. And I just personally, I don't want to be a part of that. And so I've made a lot of intentional choices not to be. I feel really strongly about this one. I think the sun is good for us. I think that the sun is continuously being blamed for things unfairly. I think that the way that we interact with the sun matters. Obviously, it's I'm not going to sit there and say the sun is good for me while I'm blistering and burning, from irresponsible contact with the sun. I don't believe in that, but I do believe that the sun is healing. It's always been a part of us. It's a part of everything. It's the life source. So I don't wear sunglasses. I don't wear sunscreen unless I'm out on the lake and it's 1 in the afternoon in July, and I'm just getting blasted with sun out on the water or something, and then I'll absolutely put on a mineral sunscreen, or I'll put on some clothing to cover up. But we believe in this family religiously that we are out in the morning getting that morning sun on our skin. I believe in working out, working in the sun. I mean, I personally, I grew up on a farm. So for me, it's feels like manual labor is a love language. Getting outside, getting exercise, working up a sweat, digging in a garden. That's why I love gardening, and I love manual labor. It doesn't matter what it is. If I'm outside, fixing a fence or feeding the chickens or collecting eggs or cleaning out the chicken coop or building something with my husband, it's always such a great opportunity to just work up a little bit of a sweat, laugh, work with somebody that you love, get a little bit of a sunburn, I don't know, just be outside, touch grass. I believe that soil is a living life form that we don't interact with nearly enough. I spend a ton of time outside barefoot. I'm pretty feral, but again, it's a value system for me. It really is. It's I just need to be outside. I need to be in nature, and I am somehow more balanced. And the sun is number one on that list of I living in Montana when it's so cold for such a large part of the year, I do get to where I really, really miss the sun. Come like February, I'm fiending for it. So, again, the sun, relationship with nature, all of these things are super important. I have exercise as my fourth component, and I think that exercise, I think it's wonderful when people go to the gym. I really do. And I actually love going to the gym. I love a separate environment that I can go lift weights, work out, and just be like in the zone. But now that I have the baby and I'm 4.5 months postpartum, I haven't gone back to the gym yet. I still have some like ab separation, and I'm going on my hikes, like my morning walks, which basically are hikes because we have such a steep drive. There's a lot of topography where we live. So I'm getting in really good walk carrying him, and he's a really big baby. So I know I'm getting my exercise that way, but as far as like physically working out, I don't really go to the gym at this stage. I probably should be, but we just moved and I still need to find a gym, and we live in the middle of nowhere. So that's a whole thing. But I think that the gym is a wonderful, wonderful place. But for me personally, my exercise is sort of just part of my lifestyle. Kind of like I said earlier, I really love manual labor. I really love just like being outside, working on whatever I need to work on. For me, exercise is sort of just comes together with, time in nature and getting fresh air and being in the sun and stuff like that. So exercise is important. I think that if we're too sedentary, we feel that. Our body feels that, and it doesn't feel good. So it's just good to move. Doesn't matter really how you do it. I don't believe in like strict routines or, crazy regimens. I just believe in moving your body and finding a way to enjoy it. Number 5 is, this is probably my most toxic quality, is I'm just not a fan of the healthcare system really. And this is a me thing. I'm not trying to push that on anybody. I just haven't seen health outcomes improve the more that we depend on that system. I don't believe that pharmaceutical medications should ever be the first solution for really anything. Obviously this is nuanced and it just depends, but I don't personally, like, I don't see a conventional doctor, and I wouldn't unless I had a broken leg or I got in a car accident or something, in which case, like, our emergency medicine, I think, in this country and like with our healthcare system I think it's outstanding. I mean, we have incredible, my husband got hurt in a work accident a handful of years ago, and he ended up needing trauma surgery, and those surgeons were incredible. Like, there's a time and a place for our healthcare system. So that's how I just want to be like first and foremost, I think there's a time and a place. I don't really think like going to a doctor is a really good thing for me when it comes to nutrition and stuff, because obviously, like, I made my list of like foods that I think are really important, and like I'm not under the impression that nutrition is like a top priority in medical schools when educating physicians. So for me, it's just like, I just don't want to go like barking up the wrong tree for information that like I'm not going to want to, like, I don't want anyone peddling like the food pyramid to me. I don't want anyone telling me that grains are the best thing I need to be eating and that I need to eat seed oils and I need to stay away from animal fat. Like, I'm past that point. I'm like radicalized past that point. So I don't need to, there's just a lot I don't think I need a doctor for. And I think that I have a lot of suspicion, and I think it is a healthy suspicion actually, towards institutions and sort of like corporate health. It's so against nature, in my opinion. It really is. It's just so against nature. It's so against natural healing. I didn't even have a baby in the hospital, you guys. Like, I don't believe that, because I don't think that unless you're high risk. Okay, I was not high risk. I was low risk. I had a very healthy pregnancy. I had a very healthy baby in there, and I had a wonderful, wonderful licensed midwife who I was fortunate enough to get to work for and watch her work. And I've seen her conduct herself beautifully in at least a dozen home births. So like for me, I was really lucky. I had the right resources, so it was fine. But like, I just wasn't interested in giving birth in a hospital if I didn't have to, and I didn't have to. I had a healthy, wonderful home birth. So I'm just, when it comes to managing health, I think that, again, like, if we can sort of be a little bit I believe in being rebellious against the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, because I think that there's just a lot of corporations and industries and systems involved that make a lot of profit off of us like not really being that healthy. And so I choose to do what I believe is intentional, traditional, ancestral, like old and wise, things that are sort of dying that we need to keep alive. I mostly manage my health and the health of my family myself. But I also I think it's important for me to note that I do have a holistic doctor that I trust tremendously. And he's basically the primary care physician, if you could even call him that, for my family. He helped me through all sorts of phases of life. He helped me through chronic health conditions. He's the reason that I believe in a lot of the things I believe in now. And he helped me all through pregnancy. And he's a chiropractic physician and an applied kinesiologist. And he basically addresses everything from the skeletal system all the way up through the neurological system. And he helps address food inflammation and nutrient deficiencies, which I think are like really the top big ones for, I think Americans are sick in general. And I think those are the top big ones. And so he really has a nice way. He has some wonderful techniques for getting to the root cause of dysfunction in the body. And so my family and I, we go to him for healthcare. We've been really happy with that healthcare. It's been wonderful. And my husband, my son and I guess my son has only been here 4.5 months, but he's outstandingly healthy. And my husband and I are the healthiest we've ever been. And we feel very young, and we're not really, like, I'm not that young. I'm like 34, but I feel better than I did at 24. I can tell you that. When I was smoking and drinking and partying and eating terrible foods and doing a lot of drugs. So I feel way better. And so this is just what works for me. I mean, my philosophy on health is just, to rely on nature and we are products of nature, and I think that we've become so domesticated and so cut off from the natural world in so many ways that we forget that. And I think that's just a really important thing to come home to. So anyways, I hope I was clear and not too rambly, but I wanted to just sit down and talk about that, my personal philosophy on health and healing and what it means to be a healthy individual. And I hope that was helpful to somebody out there who needs it. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you at the next video. Oh my God, I bet I didn't even press record. Can you imagine?